solving, which leads us to Leroy Abuaji. He's an alum from Alfred State. He graduated with a degree in electrical engineering technology 3 years ago. So he's recently employed. He can talk to you about what it's like to, first join the professional world of working. So we were talking about that a little bit earlier. But he's here to talk today and to share insight that he has and answer any questions. So Leroy, if you'd like to join us, now would be good.
All right.
Ready?
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is, can you guys hear me? Hello? What's going on? Oh, okay. Well, my name is Leroy Abuaji. I graduated in 2013. I work at GAL Manufacturing Corp. It's a small non-proprietary elevator company in New York. And we're gonna just talk about critical thinking and problem solving. And in the elevator industry, you have to do a lot of that. When I graduated, I first started in technical support. And now I'm in R&D at GAL Manufacturing Corp. I'm gonna start my slide now. Let's see. Okay. So just a couple of stuff here. I wanted to go over like 5 points. And really 5 things you can do and you can learn during your career and your early career once you get your first jobs and everything else. And it can kind of help you with your critical thinking skills. And first, I was going to start with a topic of not being afraid to put yourself out there. And the reason I say don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because the only way you're going to really develop your critical thinking skills and your problem solving skills is by approaching the problems. And if you kind of don't put yourself out there and face these problems, sometimes you're gonna steal some of this like valuable information you can gain from the problems in the work field. Next thing I wanted to just point out is that you should really learn about yourself. Kind of just learn how you think and how you approach a problem and develop that skill. So an example of that would be when I first came into the elevator industry, I knew nothing about elevators. And when you're working in technical support and the main purpose of your job is to fix issues that are happening on the field, one thing that helped me a lot was learning that I am not an auditory learner. I don't learn well by just listening to information, and which led me to basically carrying a notepad with me everywhere at the company. So every time somebody was saying information, I was writing it down, and that really helped me develop my critical thinking skills. So I would take notes as the customer is talking and explaining their problems to me, so I could go back down and like analyze it, think about it some more before I came up with a solution for them. So I think it's a good skill to learn about how you solve problems, because it doesn't apply the same way to everybody. The third lesson that I think everyone should be taking into their career, and especially earlier on, is finding mentorship. And again, mentorship is just really good because your mentor or whoever's helping you along your career path is somebody who has experienced multiple problems and faced multiple problems and overcame them. So just kind of having this person guide you through all of that is very good, because They just know what they're talking about. And if you can find that early in your career, it can really boost and help you with your critical thinking skills. At my company, I found two of them. The first being my direct supervisor. His name was Peter Novak. And the second being a printed circuit board designer called Kai Tam. And both of them have walked me through numerous issues and numerous problems that I've dealt with. And it's been really good to learn from those two people. The fourth lesson for developing your problem solving skills is really just to practice. While I was in tech support, while I was in tech support, a lot of the problems that I faced, I realized that if I kind of like encountered them, the more and more I encountered them, the better I got at fixing the issues. So I started to basically set up issues, even though they weren't like issues we've seen yet, but basically creating problems and trying to solve those problems by myself. So basically motivating yourself to, you have to like motivate yourself to think critically, even though it's not work related. So try to like just apply all of these different skills that you're using at work into your everyday life. And it kind of just like reinforces in your mind over and over and over again, and you just get better and better. So practice, practice, practice. The fifth and last lesson is basically don't feel bad about not knowing everything. And this was one that was very important for me when I first got into my industry, because I felt like I needed to know everything, but I've never worked with elevators before. And I kind of let that kind of stop me from diving in completely. So if you can kind of teach yourself that it's okay to not know everything before you go into any career field, and just having the willingness to learn, I feel like it can help you, again, tying back to lesson one, with not being afraid. It kind of helps you encounter the problems and then learn while you're working at the company. But those are the 5 lessons I really wanted to point out. I didn't want to make this too long because I wanted to leave this open for more discussion and just kind of answer any questions that anyone might have about how it's like to work in a field like I do, or just any questions basically. So I'm going to end this now. Start presenting. Can everybody see me? Hello?
Yes, and Leroy, I loved your suggestions about the notebook and the making up scenarios and practicing. I think that is just an excellent idea. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Anyone wants to hear any crazy stuff that has happened while I was on the job site? Anyone?
I was wondering, did you see a difference between like critical thinking when you're in college at Alfred State versus critical thinking now that you're out there working? Did you see a difference?
Yes.
Was it?
Yeah. So when you're in college, college is like a controlled environment. So I feel like some of the problems that you face in college are like created to, like advance the way you think. And in the real world, it's a bit more chaotic when it comes to the type of problems that arise. So I felt like that's the difference between the two when I was in college and when I was in college and when I started working, was that it's just a lot of different stuff that happen that you can't plan for. And I guess an example of that could be when I first started working in tech support, I dealt with one of like my very first motor issues. And in college, you don't really deal with motors, at least not in the way you deal with it on the job. And that's just like kind of like that. So in college, your labs are kind of created to help you walk through this process. But in the real world, the motor you're dealing with is not like a controlled item. So it's a lot different. Does anyone have any questions? Yes. All right. So if I could go back to my time at Alfred State, I would most definitely apply. Like I would apply to more jobs in different states, and I would be a little bit more adventurous to the companies I was applying to. I felt like when I was in Alfred State, I applied to a limited amount of companies in an area that I felt comfortable with. And I feel like when you're coming out of college, it's really time to like explore because a lot of our majors are a lot broader than we thought. There's a lot of there's a lot of subdivisions within electrical engineering, for example, and you really aren't sure where you want to specialize in. So definitely, I would say apply to a lot of different fields and different industries if you can while you're in college, because you're just not sure what you're gonna like yet.
I also like that part, Leroy, where you're talking in the beginning about, it sounds basically like being comfortable, being uncomfortable. That kind of summarizes what you're kind of talking about. And how soon into your position, you mean your first position out of college, did you feel you were okay with that? You said it took some time or whatnot, but.
Yeah, it was when I first got out of college and I got my first job. I didn't really know, I guess, what to fully expect. And on the first day, I felt very overwhelmed by the amount of information that I had to kind of like go over. And I guess I just kind of felt discouraged by it just a little bit. And that's why I feel like just coming out of college, you just shouldn't be too concerned that you don't know all of the information, because it's impossible. That you just started your career. They can't expect you to know every single piece of detail. You have to. It takes a bit of time, even grasping some of the concepts and the way certain stuff are done at certain companies. But it's all about not being afraid, I guess, to put yourself out there. Because the more you put yourself out there, the more you're going to absorb, the more information you're going to learn. And if you just never take that first step, it's probably just going to be hard for you to continue going and learning with everything. But it was a bit nerve-wracking coming out of college and just not knowing what's next. But as long as you keep on pushing and you keep on taking the next steps, everything hopefully should work out.
I can't remember, Leroy, did you have any internships? I know it's not part of your curriculum to get them for credit, but as far as like summer jobs or anything like that, did you do those? And what was helpful, or what do you wish you would have done maybe that you didn't?
I actually didn't. I applied for a lot of internships during my 4 years there, and I didn't get any internships. So what I actually recommend for people who are in the same boat as me that didn't get any internships is that you create your own internships. And when I say you create your own internships, what I did over the summers was I kind of just worked on my own projects that are related to my major. So I did electrical engineering technology, and what you do is you would just kind of think of something or even go on YouTube and you pick a project that somebody has done and you clone it and you do the same exact thing, but you learn from it. And that's one thing that I recommend to a lot of people that can get internships is that you can give yourself an unpaid internship, if you know what I'm talking about. You can teach yourself some of the skills that you would have learned at the internships anyway, so that over the course of the summer, you're not behind, because and you can put those skills on your resume. So when I graduated, even though I didn't have relevant work experience, I had a lot of projects on my resume, and not all the projects were school related. So that kind of puts the image of somebody who is proactive to the employer that's trying to hire you. So if you're not getting internships, really don't give up, but you can give yourself your own internship, is how I see it.
That is fantastic advice. I love that. And we actually have something, since you were in school now, that there's opportunities for paid projects that students can do, like micro internships. So yeah, so they it's a platform called Parker Dewey. So employers can just submit those to for students to apply for. So it's the same type of thing. Like, you did a lot more work. You had to do your own and not get paid, but now there are opportunities to get paid for those types of projects and build your resume. So I love your advice. I think that's great. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, just the whole college process is really to build you up and help you develop your skills so that when you come into the field, you're ready to learn. So I guess major point is, I guess, don't be afraid to learn and develop new skills that you're not completely familiar with. And also, you can always put your own life into your own hands and create opportunities for yourself, even if they're not there. Does anyone have any more questions? Does anyone want to hear anything in particular? No?
Something's coming in.
Luckily, my company hasn't struggled too much with the whole pandemic going on. And that's just because we're in the elevator industry, and in the elevator industry, buildings have to go up, elevators have to be running, even in the hospitals. So we're deemed an essential business. But I mean, it's been a bit rough with having to work around that. But that even that goes to, that's part of the whole problem solving and critical thinking, right? So as a company, how do you solve the problem of having people work, but have people work safely, you know? And we've seen that happen in a lot of places, even on campus. Everyone's thinking of creative ways to get the students back. And problem solving again, solving these unexpected things that happen. What do you do? Do you have people? Do you move stuff around? Do you restructure everything? But how it's impacted my work, luckily it hasn't impacted it too much. We're still doing the same thing, putting out products, we're designing, we're testing, and things have been going good, thankfully. Any questions? We're the students. The best part about working is getting paid now. The best part of working is, for me personally, the best part of working is the collaboration. I like working with people. I know, like in college, a lot of people hate group projects because, you know, sometimes you have to carry all the weight in the group and people aren't pulling their weight. But I feel like at work, a company is essentially one large group project, you know, and it's fun, it's fulfilling, and it's just very exciting to just see all the work you put in and see like a final result coming out of that. Seeing that the work you're doing is actually like helping people, and that's that, to me. I enjoy that part about work. It makes me happy to think that what I'm doing is actually is worth it. Yeah. So again, the question was, I guess you could all see the question. Do you have to team up with other companies to get a job done? And yeah, we do actually. In my specific industry, the elevator industry, one company doesn't really make all of the parts. So GAL Manufacturing Corp, we make controller, the controller, which is the control system of the elevator. That's what does the dispatching of who to go pick, who to not go pick. But we have to team up and work with a motor company. So we have to partner up with them. We have to call them and kind of get their specs to make sure that their stuff meets our criteria, and that when it gets to the customer's job, the customer gets it, everything all works together, and you're not having to have issues with one thing and not the other. We work with drive companies. We work with quite a lot of different companies, but that is one thing that I know a lot of industries will have to do. You're not only working with just your company, you have to work with other companies too. Even if you're just working in a business that like makes like one thing, you still have to partner up, or not necessarily partner up, but you still have to collaborate with, let's say, the shipping companies, and seeing how you're going to get your supply out there to people who order your stuff. So no matter what industry you're in. I think collaboration is super important. And with collaboration, there's a lot of different problems again that are gonna arise, and you're gonna have to find some creative ways to solve those problems. That is a good question. Let me think about that one. What are some skills that you think are important to have regardless of the industry? I mean, I guess it's kind of cheating, but it's problem solving and critical thinking. That skill is very important to have regardless of any industry you're in. Just because if you think about the world we're in, pretty much all of our jobs exist because we're solving some problem, you know. So like in a medical field, if you're a nurse, for example, you know, like people need care and you're filling that hole of people needing care. So, but if you put it like that, it like is the problem, there's still problems because what you need to solve, there's still like a hole there. That's not necessarily just like the nurse just cares for the person. The problem is, how does that nurse care for the person? What do they have to do? And that aspect, that's the problem that they're solving. And that's the stuff that people need to think of creative ways to do that. So if you look right now, and with the whole pandemic going on, every industry had to become creative. Every industry had to figure out how to solve their problems. So I think regardless of the industry you're in, problem solving skills, critical thinking skills will take you a long way. Does anyone have any more questions that it would just like to know? Just about the industry, just any questions, any fears, I guess, about graduating and coming out and getting a job? Any advice? I mean, I guess one thing I can, oh, sorry. Oh, okay. One thing I can think about advice-wise that I've seen work is don't just say that you're gonna apply for jobs and then don't apply for jobs. I think you should keep track of where you're applying to. And you can do this easily in like Google Sheets. So put the job description, the company, the job description, and once you apply to it, you put whether you apply to it or not. And the reason I say you should do this is because when you're applying for a whole bunch of jobs and you get called by a company, sometimes when you go to the website, the job description is not there anymore, and you need to prepare for the interview. And just keeping track of where you're applying to and what you're applying for is going to help you a lot, because sometimes you need to practice and prepare for the interview, and just having all that information in one place just makes it a lot easier. And it also holds you accountable, because within like 6 months, you might question yourself, like, how come I'm not hearing back? And you go to your actual list and you see that you maybe applied to like 2 places. You know what I mean? So it's good to keep track of where you're applying to, just so you know where you're applying to, but you also hold yourself accountable to apply and look. And it also just keeps track of what you're doing. That's what I did when I first got out, is I kept a sheet in Google Sheet. I'm not advertising for Google Sheet or anything, but the Google Drive. But you could access it on your phone. You can access it anywhere and add to the list from anywhere. So I would suggest that if you're planning and looking and job hunting, you just keep track of it somehow. Yeah. Another advice I would give too is, once you get your first job, because you started, since this is your first job, I think it's good to outline some goals for yourself. This typically happens within the company itself because they have annual reviews, but because you just started and you kind of don't have anything like set in place, you should think about where in like a year, where you want to see yourself. Just put some goals there, and having some SMART goals so that they're like attainable. You can measure it in a timely manner. So like within a year, I want to see that, I'm better at this, or, within a year, I want to make sure that I understand this process enough to explain it to somebody who is new. Another thing I would also suggest is just when you're learning something new, it's good if you kind of break it down in your mind to like explain it to someone. So when I first started in the elevator industry, my friends, everyone around me got a bit tired of me because that's all I talked about. All I talked about was elevators and explaining how the control system worked and what goes where. And I was doing that to just kind of reinforce it in my mind and kind of understand it, because if you really understand something well, you should be able to explain it to someone who doesn't understand the system at all. And they should be able to at least grasp some concepts from it. So I did that with my mom a lot. After work, I would break down certain issues I dealt with, just talking it out with her and pretended like she cared about what I was saying. But, it was good to just kind of practice thinking out loud to her and explaining to her. And after doing that like a couple of times, like, it just kind of clicked, and I felt like I understood the concepts more and well enough to start like applying it to like some of the calls I was taking. And my mom does care. I was joking about that. But yeah, it's just You have a long career ahead. Just gotta go in and give your best every day and have fun while you're doing it is what I could really recommend. Try to have fun while you're doing it because this is it. Any questions? Does anyone have a specific scenario? Anything that any issue that they're having with searching for internships or anything? Okay.
This was awesome, Leroy. We are so happy to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Happy to zoom you in virtually back to Alfred State College, right? Yeah, it's been awesome. Appreciate your time. And just FYI, Leroy's company that he works at, they're looking for a mechanical engineer. So if there's any MET students on here, certainly let him probably forward your resume or whatnot.
I can also put my email. I'll put my email in the chat. But my company sometimes hires sporadically. So if you forward your resume to me, I can keep it in like a folder and send it out if anything comes out that I could think of that like fits any field you're in. Another thing I don't mind doing is I don't mind looking over your resume. If you want me to look over your resume and give you advice on what you can change, just shoot me an email. If I see it, I'll get back to you. But I'm always willing to help anyone from Alfred State, of course. Yeah, we're all in this together. Figure it out.
Yeah, this is really great, Leroy. I agree with Elaine. It's wonderful to have you back, hear your story, share your information and all that.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. All right.
Have a great week, everybody. Thanks for being on here. And thanks again, Leroy. We wish you well.
Yeah, thank you too for having me. Thank you everyone for coming.
Thanks, Leroy.
Awesome.
Have a great week. Everyone stay safe.
You too.
You too, Leroy. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye-bye.